Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Amy Jans. So with the pandemic, I haven't been on stage for a little over a year. Yeah, it's intense. Got me nostalgic thinking about comedy and performing. This time away has been really interesting because I've been thinking and what I could do better with it. It's like I'm visualizing ways to improve without actually being on stage because I haven't been on stage. Although the stages are opening slowly but surely, but I mean, it's a pandemic. I'm not a big germaphobe. I'm only 5'3". I'm a short one. Yes, I'm going to do something that I've never done before, okay? I have never shown anybody my old stand-up. Like, super, we're talking me, 19 years old. Slightly nervous, but also 19. What can you say? Come on. I'm so sad that I didn't have a smartphone when I started doing comedy. And I'm sad that I didn't realize that I would cherish my early stand-up clips. I was just so mortified when I was younger, like 19, 20. I was so embarrassed by my comedy that I would record it in case if I felt brave enough to look at it and see what I did wrong and what I could improve. I didn't get an iPhone, or I didn't get a smartphone at all until 2014. Boost Mobile prepaid phone until 2014. So, but it didn't have video on it. I don't even know if I have footage to a lot of my early stuff, but I did find clips that I had marked private. I'm the same feeling of scared watching this as when I watch a horror film. Like, it's the same level of fear right now. All right.
Amy Jans, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, terrible. That is a terrible opening, okay? Hello. Oh my, you hear the quiver. Could I have done some vocal warm-ups prior? Come on. Never do hello. I think what I should have done, walk on stage confidently. Like, I'm kind of hunched over here. Walk on stage confidently. Grab the mic. Inhale. Exhale. Stare out. I think, because the inhale is kind of like a cleansing. This is my own thing. Like, the inhale is like a cleansing of the energy of the person before you. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, no. So, if I saw that in writing, I would take my little red pen, scratch that out. No fat. It should have been no fat. All right, I'm being hard on myself. I'm 19 here. Come on.
I'm a mess. I can't eat without getting food on my shirt.
Guys, you know what's sad? I was freaking out for an opener that day. So I wore this hamburger. This shirt is of a hamburger. They have hamburgers all over it. I wore that shirt just for an opener. Also, like, dude, if you're not front row, people don't know that they're hamburgers. They could be like rectangles for all they know. Rectangles, oh my god. And then the whole, I'm such a mess. You'll see that as a through line. I'm such a mess, because I was thinking, well, back then, 19, I was like, all right, if a casting director were to see me, what roles could they see me in? And I'm like, yo, I want to play, I love like Christian Shaw roles, like the quirky teacher, and I want to be like the scattered secretary. Like, I don't know why that was a type in my head, like my dream role. Like, yo, I want to be the scattered secretary, the scattered waitress, the scattered kindergarten teacher. I was like, this is my type. So the scattered thing, I intentionally was trying to write jokes around a persona. Anyway.
Yeah. Is behind graffiti. Graffiti is weird, man. You see it everywhere. But do you ever see somebody making it? No. I saw.
Oh God. I like that premise, to be honest. Who is behind graffiti? It's weird. It had the attitude word weird. Why? Because it's everywhere, but you never see it being made.
Oh, graffiti on the top of the Trump Towers. Like,
yo, I was ahead of my time. I was doing Trump jokes unintentionally prior. Okay, sorry.
What they do? Hop on a scaffold and bully themselves up there? Where the hell is security? Seriously. Like, and do they premeditate what they're gonna do? Or do they just wing it?
I like that premise. It wasn't a punch. That was all premise. But the whole premise is I should have stuck on that whole thing of like I did the premise of it's weird, it's everywhere, but you never see it being done. And then I bailed on that, and then I hopped onto an angle of how do they get so high? Those are two different ideas that I tried to do as one. So I should have broke it down into it's weird, it's everywhere, but you never see it being made, and then do a punch on that. And then two, the premise of how do they get so high? Like, is there a graffiti scaffold service? Do they have their own scaffolds they carry around?
I love chocolate, but the advertisements are freaky. Did you ever notice the voiceover lady? She sounds like she's having an orgasm. Like, premium chocolate, heavenly. You cannot resist. Like, dude, what I want to know is how the hell did you get how does she sound so authentically aroused? Is it method acting? Does the prop master come and deliver her some adult toys to get to that point? Like, seriously. Pass the wand, Jake Thor.
Here's the thing. I wrote most of these jokes before so I was just like, when I first started when I was 19, I would obsessively watch comedy, stand-up, I would like free write, and then I would take the things that annoyed me and I would do them at mics and stuff. And then I read a joke book. I'm not going to say which joke book because I reread it as I'm older and I'm like, oh wow, like they have some great points in it. But when I was 19, I read it and I took it too literal. This like how to write comedy book, and it messed me up, man. It messed me up in my head because I then was like, this is not comedy. I would write, and I'm like, but this isn't comedy. This isn't a joke. Like, I would be like that to myself. This isn't a joke. Are you a joke? You're a joke because you think this is a joke. Like, I'd be talking like that to myself. And because, rules, rules can be super helpful, but they can be also super damaging if you don't let them go. And so, like, this particular book, there's a rule. You can't have I or me in the premise. So that part really messed me up because I was doing stuff from my thoughts and I didn't know what that meant. I was like, oh, what the hell do I write about? And that got me in a real writer's block. Just like once I started to incorporate rules into my writing, it messed me up. But now, I don't know. I think I was here's the thing. Now that I'm older, I love perimeters to work in. I love perimeters. Like, all right, today we're going to try to do one-liners. Today we're going to try to do stories. Today we're going to try to do an observational thing. I love that now, and I will set guidelines for myself. And sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll be like, let's just free write, and I'll highlight any things that I could maybe work with. But I started worrying that I was like disrespecting the art form. I would go to coffee shops right by the open mic. I would sit there with my notebook. I'd be there purposely so I didn't flake out. Because oh my God, I just remember getting so queasy. I'd get like 8 cups of coffee, just be sitting there. I'd be right by the open mic. And I spent all this time writing, and I was just like, this isn't comedy what I'm writing. I'm like, this isn't funny. this isn't funny. I'd throw it out. And I'd be like, I'm too embarrassed of what I wrote to do it at the mic. And I wouldn't go. And it's like, damn, I'm mad. I'm mad at myself for not being ballsy. Here's the thing. 19 was the perfect time to be a complete doofus and make a fool of myself. But I was afraid, I wanted to be liked so bad. It's like, how is it as an adult? I didn't know that not everybody's gonna like you until like 2 years ago. It took a metaphor about ice cream for me to comprehend it. To be like, oh, right. The metaphor was like, not everybody's gonna like strawberry ice cream, and that's okay. And I was like, that's so true, man. That's so true. It's like, anyway, my point is, anybody thinking about getting into comedy or anybody like super green into comedy, balls to the wall, fail and do the stuff, do it anyway. Honestly, what we're seeing now with TikTok, the stuff that takes no effort is the stuff that's like that gets picked up. And as opposed to the stuff that you like manipulated with lighting and editing, that's, I mean, of course that does well as well, but there's, my point is, do that to your jokes. Like the stuff that, a lot of times the stuff that I almost didn't do, I thought it was tacky or, it's like, oh, that got a good reception. So my point is, if you don't think it's funny, here's the thing. You should probably think it's funny. You should probably like your jokes. But there's some jokes that you write and you're like, I think it's funny, but will other people think it's funny? Who cares? Do it. Do it. Just take the pressure to be funny, which is ironic. Take the pressure to be funny off of comedy. Because it's the it truly is like the truth that is funny. But also it's just so much pressure. And also, I want to say like probably 95% of people, maybe 98% of people just automatically won't like you anyway. So it's like, you might as well just be true to yourself because you're performing in front of people that don't like you anyway. You know what I mean? And it's like, maybe your jokes can win them over, but maybe they won't.
So, what's up with not all these McDonald's having the dollar menu? Home of the value meal? No, you're gonna have the dollar menu,
Okay, that premise isn't really good. This I actually remember. I remember myself. I thought of this that day, and then I wrote it in my notebook, and I'm like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it tonight. I did not test this out at an open mic, which was not a good idea. See, it's not thought out. The premise, I think, could have been better articulated. The premise of, that is a good point. I mean, their branding is, at the time or whatever, was home of the value meal. And then not all of them had good value. Some of them didn't have the dollar. I think the dollar menu was something that was totally like a brand element of McDonald's. And yeah, it did piss me off. I do remember being like genuinely pissed off. Like I was starving and I was genuinely mad this one McDonald's didn't have the dollar menu. Mainly because that's a part of their brand, dude. Like, you want to have a McDonald's without a dollar menu is like you having Disney but not having Mickey Mouse as the mascot, Anyway, let's see where I go with this.
I go in to get my traditional 4 nuggets a buck.
That's true.
No, you don't have that. You gotta upgrade it. Upgrade it. Could you give me a price estimation?
Upgrade it. I could see me like seething at the mouth, like getting mad at like McDonald's as a corporation. Like, upgrade it. You have it available at some, and at this particular one, you've got to upgrade it. Now it's kind of a bunch of topics. It's a few topics into one premise. It is, what's the deal with not all McDonald's having the dollar menu? Okay, that's an angle. the upgrade is a different angle. You can't do premise, bail, finish the idea.
68?
468.
468. I start doing the calculations in my head. 77 cents for a nugget. Like, could you imagine a gumball machine?
Thought it in my head at 19. I thought it was funny how like random the price was, like 468.
Imagine a gumball machine with nuggets in it, and your little boy.
Oh God!
Mommy, could
no.
I have a chicken nugget? Oh well, Jimmy, I only have 3/4 here. It's 77 cents. You're not getting your chicken nugget. You get some gummy bears though for 25 cents. Rot your teeth out. Pay a $350 bill to the dentist. Thing every time. So I made a. Okay, so that I think the people started laughing at the concept of a chicken nugget gumball machine. Like I'm sold. Like yeah, where's this going? Watching that. But then the metaphor made absolutely no sense. I didn't finish the metaphor. I'm like, that's like, I don't even know what the heck I just said. Like, what? Oh my gosh. The metaphor was not like for the SAT practices, you go, this is to that as that is to that. That metaphor did not work. Every time, so I made up a rap. Kitty for the sweet, dried fruit for the treat.
Oh,
Green meat a fix. Grab a bite of your favorite trail mix. Thank you.
Why did I do that? I'm terribly sorry for that terrible rap. I did have a trail mix bit, and my whole point, my point was how trail mix is kind of like a snowflake because there's no batch exactly the same. Because, you're never in one handful, you're never going to have the same amount of peanuts, the same ratio of peanuts to raisins to M&Ms to pecans to cashews. You're always going to have like a different number because they're all like smashed in, and when you pour them out, it's always a different serving of it. And I had a joke about, this is why I did a rap. I had a premise of trail mix is like a food remix or something. It's like I was trying to think like a music remix. It's like the greatest hits of Peanuts or something. I don't know. And so I was thinking in my head, paralleling trail mix to a music remix. So I thought I would close it out with a trail mix song. It was terrible, guys. Anyway, you know what? I was 19. I'm glad I did that. A few things that I'm noticing here is right off the bat, I would tell myself 19, okay? I would tell myself, dude, you're not at that place to where you can do something totally new in a show. So some advice I would tell myself at this stage of my life, being 19, living in New York, this is when I shared a bedroom with someone I didn't know off of Craigslist, and I told my parents that it was somebody that I knew from my acting school, so they would feel okay with it. Don't. I didn't want to start off with don't. Whatever. Is this. Always try stuff out at open mics. That is a pretty obvious thing. It's all about building up your intuition of what works and what doesn't. Number 2, I would say I should have probably worked on my voice being true to how I actually talk, because I thought with comedy, you got to be big and exaggerated. And I really just looked like a flailing fish, just like, ah. And my voice range is like, ah, like up here. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, ah. And so it sounds like a shrill as opposed to a talk. Sometimes being big is within. I didn't breathe. It didn't look like I was breathing in that video. Number 3, I would have said get on stage. Like, I look back at the times that I sat at those coffee shops, and dude, I was sitting in coffee shops for 3 hours writing and then chicken out, going to a mic last minute. I would tell myself, get the fuck on stage. Get on stage. Go. I wish I had milked being 19. I didn't milk it. I was so embarrassed. I can't believe I look back and I remember being like super embarrassed that I was 19. I was like, I don't want people to know I hit it. I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I could have milked that box. Dude, you're 19. You can do anything. That is the time to be a doofus and not care about like having smart like I remember wanting to like really write smart. It's like, dude, that's what gave me writer's block, was trying to be a smart comic. Like, I don't know what I am, okay? Stuff that makes me laugh, it's not particularly witty, memorized information. However your personality is, do that comedy. Like, if you're naturally smart, awesome, you could pull that off. Anyway, also, and finally, I would tell myself to hang out at comedy shows. I was so afraid, especially when I was younger. Oh, terrifying. Ugh. They're even weirder now. Like, you know, people think you're there to like get hit on. No, I fucking hanging out because it's like part of my job, you know. I'm not hanging out I'm not gonna talk about that. Anyway, I was so afraid to ask for advice. That was my problem. I was terrified of asking advice, but I would like, you know, I would see like awesome, cool comics and just like admire them, but I'd see them at the bar, but I'd never like ask advice. And I think like looking back, I'm like, dude, I was 19. I could have like, I think intuitively people take on, you know, the little sister role of that, and maybe would have been cool with me asking for advice. That was the time to do it. So I hope my personal advice to my 19-year-old self, I hope that you can find something helpful with that as well. If you are interested in comedy or in general, like the thing of don't be afraid to ask for advice. It's pretty applicable to anything. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. Subscribe, like, and all that. Add me on Instagram. I'm like, I don't have a niche. Also at Amy J Jans, because I didn't have access to Reels, in which I'm heavy into vertical video. So yeah, so follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all the things. The best way anyone can help artists out or artists helping artists, like and comment, help the algorithm. Let's trick the algorithm together, guys. It's not tricking, it's like, let's pump the algorithm for each other. Thanks for watching.